Hey class, Mr. Long here again with a continuation of our DBQ on the Treaty of Versailles and how it's going to lead to World War II eventually. Yesterday we went over documents A and B. Hopefully it wasn't too painful. Today we are going to cover documents C and D. And then we are finished with our documents, and then we will move on to our Say Me Matter chart, then our outline, our rough draft, and then finally our final draft. So hopefully this process isn't too painful for you guys. Normally you would be doing this on your own, so hopefully this is helping out. Also, you always have access to these video lectures on YouTube, which means you can always watch them on your phone and listen to them on your phone if you don't finish them in class. So you always have that option also. So getting right into document C, what I want you guys to do is, well, first things first is we talked about two documents already. We talked about document A, which had to do with territorial losses, land that was taken from Germany after they lost World War I, according to the Treaty of Versailles. And then document B had to do with military restrictions. The downsize and the decrease of the German military, only allowing Germany to have 100,000 reserve troops that were responsible for only taking care of Germany and nothing else. So today we are going to get into two more documents, our final two documents, which is document C, which has to do with the economic reparations that Germany is going to be forced to pay, and then finally document D, which is the most important one, I feel, in my opinion, which is the war guilt. Germany being blamed for the entire war. So let's go ahead and talk about document C first. Document C, right above document C, what I want you guys to do eventually, when I'm done with this video lecture, and you pause it and then make all the highlights and annotations, I want you to write down economic reparations right above document C. Now, a reparation or economic reparation means this is money that Germany must pay for the damages that they caused during World War I. So whatever damages they caused in whatever country, they are going to be forced to pay back those damages, those reparations. Okay? So let's start off. Document C has three parts. It has two articles and then it has a chart that we're going to look at. So let's take a look at Article 232 first. So I'm going to go ahead and read this just like I did yesterday, and then I'm going to stop, tell you what to highlight, and then annotate, but just listen. Okay? So Article 232, it says the Allies require and Germany undertakes that she will make compensation for all damage done to the civilian population of the Allied and associated powers to their property during the period of belligerency. Okay? So, in other words, guys, what this Article 232 is saying is that Germany is required to pay all Allied countries and countries that they affected during World War I for the damages that they caused. Plain and simple. They have to pay back all the damages to the countries that they caused during the war. That is all. It's pretty basic, pretty simple. Article 233. The amount, reparations, or payments to be made by Germany shall be determined by the Inter-Allied Commission, which will consider the claims and give to Germany a just opportunity to be heard. The Commission shall draw up a schedule of payments prescribing the time and manner for securing and discharging the entire obligations within a period of 30 years from March 1st, 1921. If, however, Germany fails to meet her obligations, any balance remaining unpaid may be postponed for future payment or may be handled in another way that the Allied and associated governments shall determine. Okay, so in other words, the Inter-Allied Commission is like the group of countries that is telling Germany what to do. So that's important to understand. It's a group of countries that is telling Germany what to do. It also states that Germany has just the opportunity to be heard, meaning Germany has a voice. Okay? So this is what the Allied forces is asking of Germany, and Germany also has the opportunity to voice their opinion. But think about it. Their opinion does not matter whatsoever. Whatever the Allied forces say or the Inter-Allied Commission says, Germany must follow. They are forced to do whatever the Inter-Allied Commission says. So really, for them to be heard, um, that's not realistic. The next part that's important is the commission will set up a schedule of payments. So Germany will be forced to pay back all the damages and reparations that they caused in 30 years. That's what they set it at. So in 30 years, Germany will be paid off from all the damage that they caused. Now, this is going to start in 1921. So by 1951, Germany should be out of debt. They should have paid off all their reparations. But unfortunately, that is not going to be the story. Germany will not pay off their reparations until the year 2010. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. Germany does not pay off their reparations for World War I until 2010. And they were supposed to have paid off their reparations by 1951. So there's a lot of time there where they could have paid it off, but they didn't. And that's going to be for multiple reasons. Obviously, Germany does not have money. Germany lost the war badly. They're in debt. They go through the Great Depression. They cannot spend any money. They don't have the money. But it's also for other reasons that we'll talk about in a little bit. So moving down to this chart, it's kind of tough to see on my screen. It's a little dark, but hopefully you guys can still see it. This chart, guys, what I want you to do is I want you to highlight date, the amount of reparations, value in 2010 US dollars, and then German response and payment. So starting on the left-hand side, it gives us 3 dates, 1921, 1929, 1933. Then the amount of reparations. So in the very beginning, it started out with Germany owing 132 billion gold marks. Well, in 1929, 8 years later, they reduced that from 132 to 112 billion gold marks. So it's a reduction of 20 billion gold marks. But still, Germany is not able to pay their reparations. And they don't have money to pay for the reparations. The far right column is very important to note. It's the German response and payment. So, of course, Germany is not going to be happy about them having to repay billions and billions of dollars in reparations. They're not going to be happy at all. They're actually very angry. They're very bitter. They're very resentful. And they have a sense of humiliation. They feel that people are ganging up on them. And they don't want to pay. And they pay very, very little in the 1920s. By 1929, the Germans have only paid 2 billion marks. And they're supposed to be paying on a yearly basis a lot more than that. Finally, in 1933, I mentioned this before, but Hitler takes over. And once Hitler takes over, he completely stops the reparations and paying back of any money whatsoever. So I want you to think about this. Hitler takes over in 1933, and immediately he stops paying money. What is he doing? He is breaking the Treaty of Versailles. That is a big no-no. But no one says anything to him. When he does not make the payments, nothing is said. Okay? And that's very important to know. So bottom line, guys, the Germans are very angry. They're upset. They're bitter. They're resentful. And they don't want to pay these reparations, these war damages that were given to them after World War So what I want you guys to do is take a look at this chart. Same idea for Articles 232 and 233. You're going to pull one quote from each one of those paragraphs. Write that quote word for word. And in the box to the right, you're just going to explain that quote and you're going to tell me what it means. Finally, you're going to take a look at that chart, what I just got done explaining, and you're going to tell me the main idea or the information, explain the information in that chart. And then finally, at the bottom, you're going to give me the main idea of document C. It can be a sentence or two. Okay? So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and move to the highlights. I'm going to move to the annotations. So go ahead and pause it. I'm going to scroll down a little bit for the last part of the annotations and go ahead and pause it, and please make those highlights, please make those annotations. So I'm going to go ahead and move away from document C and I'm going to move to document D. Now document D is also two parts. The first part is another article, Article 231 from the Treaty of Versailles. And then the second part is an excerpt, a passage from a book that was written in the year 1995 that was titled Victory Must Be Ours, Germany in the Great War 1914 and 1918. So it's really important, guys, to always look at your sources when you're looking at these documents. So let's go ahead and start off with the first part of document D, Article 231. So go ahead and highlight that, box in Article 231. And then what I want you guys to do is on the note, it's always important to read the note. And this note says, this article of the Treaty of Versailles is often referred to as the War Guilt Clause. Please box in War Guilt Clause and then highlight it. This is very important, and I feel, in my opinion, the biggest reason why the Treaty of Versailles kind of pushes and leads Germany into World War II, the beginning of World War II. So I'm going to read this, follow along. I'll stop, I'll highlight, I'll make my annotations as I have done with the other documents. So it says, the Allied and associated governments affirm and Germany accepts a responsibility of Germany and her allies for causing all the losses and damages to which the Allied and associated governments and their nationals have been subjected as a consequence of the war imposed upon them by the aggression of Germany and her allies. Okay, bottom line, easiest way to explain this is that Germany must take full responsibility and take blame for all of the damages they caused during World War I. Not only are they to blame, but their allies are to blame. They are forced to take the blame even if they don't want to. So guys, you got to understand, okay? Everything that happened in World War I is put on the shoulders of Germany. It is all their fault. They are blamed for everything, and they must take the responsibility of that blame. That is called the War Guilt Clause. And once again, guys, I want you to think about that and how that's going to make Germany feel. That's going to make them feel angry, bitter, resentful, humiliated, as if everyone is ganging up on them. And it's going to get them to the point where they're going to be very fed up and they're going to be upset and they are going to want revenge. They're going to want to get powerful again. And the only way for them to get powerful and to rise up again is for them to have a very strong leader. And they are going to get that very strong, charismatic leader with Adolf Hitler. And that's exactly what he does. He is going to make Germany great again, make them feel powerful again. And that's what he does. And that's why he was liked so much, because Germany was looked down upon post-World War I, and he is going to make the country feel good about themselves once again. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look now at the second part of document D. I'm going to read, just follow along. I'll make my highlights, my annotations as always. The Allies continued in the years after 1919 to regard the Versailles Treaty as an international contract, international meaning worldwide. Contract is a contract that you have, obviously, it's an agreement that you have with other countries. But most Germans saw it as an atrocious injustice, an evil thing which must be destroyed. So, obviously, guys, the Germans don't like whatsoever the feeling of them being blamed and this war guilt for the entire war. They don't think it's fair at all. This feeling persisted long after most of the provisions had been carried out, long after many Germans could even name its provisions. So it is going to leave a very, very bitter taste in the Germans' mouth years after the Treaty of Versailles was signed. They're going to have a really, really sense of, I guess we could say, bitterness and resentfulness towards all the other countries, all the Allied forces, years after, all through the 20s, all through the 30s, when Hitler takes over. And Hitler's going to use that as fuel to rise up and become leader of Germany. What they knew of the treaty was etched indelibly in their minds and could be abbreviated in a single word, which is, guys, humiliation. Nations, as with individuals, do not like to be made do not like to be made to feel disgraced and cast off. It undermines a sense of worth, their value of themselves. All that's saying is that the Germans don't like the feeling of being ganged up on. They're being picked on. Their sense of worth goes down. And to them, that's not fair. Much of the exultation, which is enthusiasm within Germany arising from the Nazi regime, arose from the way in which Hitler restored a sense of pride, reawakened a sense of self-respect, forcing the world to look at Germany anew. Okay, so I've already mentioned to you that the Germans look at the Treaty of Versailles as being a horrible thing, and it needs to be destroyed. It disgraces them. It makes them look bad, and they don't look at themselves that way. They also feel very humiliated. They feel picked on. They feel like they have no choice in the matter whatsoever, and they're very bitter, angry, and resentful. And finally, and last but not least, Hitler is going to be accepted because he makes the Germans feel good about themselves and makes their country look good and powerful again. And he is going to show the rest of the world how powerful Germany really is. But in the meantime, when he's doing this and he takes over, he is breaking many parts of the Treaty of Versailles. And what ends up happening is that the Allied forces don't do anything about it because they feel if they step up to Hitler, it will lead to another what? Of course, another world war. And they don't want another war. They're trying to avoid war at all costs. They try to keep peace. But in reality, what ends up happening with Hitler and Germany breaking the Treaty of Versailles all these different ways, it will lead to World War II no matter what. So what I need you guys to do, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. You guys need to fill in this chart at the bottom. And then I'm going to give you guys the highlights and the annotations. Please make sure, guys, that you're highlighting, you're annotating everything the way I have it. If you added some stuff that's not written here, even better. So that wraps up video lecture on documents C and D. Please go back if you need to and re-listen to these lectures if you're not quite understanding anything, or please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.